In the heart of what we now call Mexico, once stood a city so dazzling, so extraordinary, that the first Europeans who saw it thought they were dreaming. Its name was Tenochtitlan, the jewel of the Aztec Empire. Floating upon a lake, connected by shimmering causeways, adorned with temples that touched the sky, it was a world built on faith, blood, and divine order. The Aztecs believed they were chosen by the gods, the keepers of cosmic balance. Every sunrise was a victory against darkness. Every beating heart offered on the temple altar was a promise that the sun would rise again. Their empire was vast, their warriors fierce, and their gods demanding. Yet, far beyond the ocean, destiny was already sailing toward them, carried by white sails and steel. It was the year 1519 when the Spanish conquistador Hernán Cortés landed on the shores of the Yucatan Peninsula. To the Aztecs, these strangers were unlike anything they had ever seen. Pale-skinned, armored in shining metal, and riding creatures they believed to be mystical beasts, horses. Some whispered that these men were the long-lost gods returning from the east. Among them, Cortés carried not just weapons, but ambition, the kind that burned brighter than gold. He sought power, glory, and riches beyond imagination. Guided by Malinche, a native woman who became his interpreter and, some say, his key to conquest, Cortés began to march inland. Every step took him closer to the beating heart of the Aztec world. As Cortés advanced, he gathered allies, tribes oppressed under Aztec rule, who saw in him a chance for revenge. The Aztec Empire, though mighty, was not loved by all. Its dominion was built upon tribute and fear. The Spaniards exploited that fear, weaving promises and deceit into an army that was part European, part native. Then, one fateful day, the Spanish reached Tenochtitlan. Imagine it, a city of shimmering temples and canals built upon water like a dream. Cortés himself was awed, and at the heart of it all stood Emperor Moctezuma II, the ruler chosen by the gods, the living bridge between heaven and earth. Moctezuma did not meet the invaders with war, but with reverence. He welcomed them into his palace, showered them with gifts of gold and jewels. But gold, to the Aztecs, was the sweat of the sun, sacred and symbolic. To the Spaniards, it was wealth, power, and greed incarnate. The city that once thrived in divine harmony soon became a place of tension and whispers. The Spaniards began to realize they were surrounded by millions, a handful of them against an empire. They took Moctezuma hostage, believing that through him they could control his people. But the gods had grown silent, and fear began to replace faith. When the Aztecs finally rose in fury, the streets of Tenochtitlan erupted into chaos. Blood filled the canals, stones rained down on the Spaniards as temples burned. In the confusion, Moctezuma was struck. By his own people, by his captors, by fate itself. No one truly knows. The emperor who once ruled by divine right fell in silence. The Spaniards fled, their path lit by the flames of the empire they had betrayed. Many died in the escape, an event remembered as La Noche Triste, the night of sorrows. Yet Cortés would not stop. He regrouped, reforged alliances, and returned, with reinforcements and determination sharper than any sword. In 1521, after months of siege, starvation, and disease, Tenochtitlan, the city of gods, finally fell. The once great capital lay in ruins, its temples dismantled stone by stone. The lake turned red with the blood of its defenders. The empire of the Aztecs, that had stood for centuries, was gone. In its place rose Mexico City, built upon the bones of the fallen. The Spaniards called it victory, but to the people who watched their gods fall silent, it was the end of the world they knew. Some say the spirits of Tenochtitlan still whisper beneath the streets of modern Mexico, echoes of drums, chants, and forgotten prayers rising from the earth. The story of the Aztec Empire's fall is not just about conquest or power. It is the story of a collision between faith and greed, myth and reality, gods and men. And in that collision, one of the greatest civilizations ever to walk the earth vanished into legend. When gods fell silent, human ambition spoke louder.